Decisive, interactive, stabilizing, and cautious, right? So those are the four personality styles that we would have as people, okay? And in having those personality styles, the main things that we look at is a person who's decisive in terms of a personality style. When they look at problems, okay, if you look on the screen, when they look at problems, they tend to approach problems and make decisions quickly, okay? And then what we usually call them is a high D in terms of personality style. So a high D is somebody that would be demanding, driving, they would be forceful in the way they communicate. So when you look at that and you've talked to somebody with that personality style, you know that they're more of a driver. They end up being daring as well. But then as it starts getting to a lower driver personality style, they're determined, competitive. They tend to be more responsible, inquisitive, conservative, mild, and agreeable, and deliberate in terms of their approach. So looking at that, the personality style, somebody could be at an extreme level, but then as time goes on, their energy level around that personality style tends to go down. So they're not as extreme, obviously. But let's look at the next personality style, which would be interactive. And the interactive, I like to communicate that as someone who's more of an influencer, okay? And usually the influencer is, someone who is, for the most part, they are talkative. They wear bright colors all the time. They're always the influencers in the group, that they are the life of the party. And when you look at a person who's an influencer, their main objective is who's going to be at the party, right? It's a matter of FOMO versus anything else, okay? So fear of missing out. Now, interactive personality style is more of an influencer. It's how they tend to interact with others and share their opinions. So they're gregarious, they're persuasive, inspiring, okay? And then we'll go to the next page here so we can see the rest of it. They tend to be very enthusiastic. So I want you guys to think about someone that you know who's just full of life, someone who's energetic, someone who's enthusiastic about life, right? They're sociable, they're poised, charming, convincing, reflective, matter of fact, reserved, and introspective. So as you get lower on the chart, okay, then the energy obviously starts to decrease in the person, and they're a lower influencer style. Now, many of you guys might ask yourself, oh, which one am I? I think I have a little bit of a D, I have a little bit of an I. And what you're going to notice is, as we continue going through the S and the C's, the S is stabilizing, but I always like to refer to it very easily as someone who's a supporter. But you're going to notice that each and every one of us has one of those personality styles inside of us, right? We exhibit one of those personality styles in one way or another. And here's the cool thing. We often exhibit some of those personality styles, like we have an active driver or an active interactive or an active stabilizing and active cautious when we're under pressure. So that's the one thing to realize is sometimes when we're under pressure, our back's up against the wall, the personality style that's going to help us accomplish what we need to accomplish is going to come out. So how does this apply? This would apply in the sense that imagine that you're working with the client, and the client, all of a sudden, they're really stabilizing in their personality, right? That's what, when they say the quiet ones, it's the quiet ones, Jerry. Those are the ones you got to watch out for, right? They're the ones that, as you're going through and you think that they're so nice and they're so quiet, boom, next thing you know, man, your head's rolling on the ground, right? So when you look at it, the stabilizing personality style, they tend to have this type of pace, right? They're patient, okay? They're predictable, they're passive. So again, this is that quiet person. They appear to be complacent, they're stable, consistent, steady, outgoing, right? As the energy gets lower, restless, active, chaotic, and spontaneous, okay? So now you start to see that their personality style starts to change and it starts to shift as it gets lower down in terms of the energy. So a cautious is someone who's a high C in terms of being cautious, would be someone who's analytical, right? The perfectionist. They're systematic in their approach, okay? This is the kind of person that anytime you ask them to make a decision to do something, it just takes them a long time. They're the I have to think about it person, right? But not only are they thinking about it, they're consistently thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And here's the catch with these guys, where you have to be careful is if you push them, then that's it. They'll cut you off completely and they won't want to do business with you. So you have to understand how each personality style works, what's their pros, what's their cons. We'll jump into it as well too in a little bit, but a little bit more on the cautious side. So the cautious, they're careful. They tend to be very analytical, orderly, neat, balanced, independent. Jump into it as well too in a little bit. Right? They're independent. They are rebellious, can appear to be careless and challenging. So these are the things to look out for when you're working with people. Before we move on to cover which one are you, number one, and the second thing we want to cover is number two is how do you best lead generate? Because here's the thing that I've noticed as I've coached people over the years, right? Obviously, the longer you're doing this, the better you become, the more insight, the more intuition you end up getting. Okay. So when you look at this at the chart, right? What ends up happening is that as I was coaching over the years, and you've probably had coaches and trainers like this, is that they would just give you one approach to lead gen. And oftentimes with lead generating, we think in our minds that it's all about cold calling, right? We think in our minds that it's calling expired listings, it's calling for sale by owners, and then we start to rebel. That's what I've noticed with many of the agents that I've coached over time. And then once I started to understand this a lot better, I started to realize that not everybody is going to be 100% comfortable. And that's pretty obvious, right? You'll have some people that are 80% comfortable, 70% comfortable with lead generating, picking up the phone and making a cold call. The problem is that if there's no other alternative that we can deliver and to coach that person to, then they don't end up producing as much and as well as the other person who's a driver. So guys, what we're going to cover during the last few minutes here, and again, if you want to jump into the VIP group where we'll have some one-on-one coaching and some little bit of group coaching as well too for those who are jumping into the Zoom, and I'll be able to help answer any questions around this topic or anything with regards to your business. So make sure you put hashtag VIP in the chat and you'll get the link to jump onto the Zoom call. Okay. Now, the main thing we want to do is identify which personality style you are. And then we're going to talk about what's the best way for you to lead generate. So when you look at yourself, ask yourself, do you tend to be somebody who is faster in decision making or someone who tends to be slower on decision making? Okay? So if I say to you or your spouse or your partner, whoever, and they say, hey, listen, what do you want to do this weekend? Right? You want to go out to the park, you want to go out to the movies, whatever the case might be. And, basically on your end, you might sit there and say, hey, look, let's do this. Boom. Decisive, to the point, you know what you want, then you're more of the driver personality style. Right? And usually it's a person that's a driver is the one that's going to be asking, hey, listen, what do you want to do this weekend? Why? Because the level of energy is like, let's go, let's make things happen. So a driver tends to appear hyper by nature, but in reality, it's just that they have a lot more energy to get things done. That's how they're built and designed. The same thing with the influencer. So when you look at an influencer, people who is the life of the party, right? They are, let's make things happen. They will take care of the entire world and make sure everybody is included, those folks, they're moving at a faster rate. Now, when you observe yourself, if you tend to be someone that is more on the laid back side of things, then you may be along the lines of stabilizing and cautious. Okay, so stabilizing is the supporter to make sure that everyone is included when there's a birthday party. Hey, did you invite Uncle Jim? Did you invite Cindy? Did you invite Tommy Lou? Right? We just want to make sure nobody's feelings get hurt. So the stabilizing personality style is someone that really cares about other people's feelings and cares about how everybody is doing. Where the driver is more like, whatever, we got to get things going. Okay? So that's the main difference. So stabilizing, cautious, slower pace, slower velocity, slower to decision making. Okay? And if you have any questions, guys, drop them in the chat and I'll be able to help answer any questions with regards to this. Put them in the chat in the Facebook group, or you can put them in the chat inside the Zoom, and be more than happy to answer those questions. Okay? So let's look at the dominant personality style and how to lead generate. So if you are a driver, you play to win, okay, not to come in last place. So very competitive. You get that real estate is a numbers business, so you are ready to deal with 100 rejections to get 10 deals closed. Now, are you that's watching right now ready to be rejected 100 times to get 10 deals closed? And you can care less if you get rejected? I mean, Jerry, you know what I mean? Or Marcia, you know, whichever. Are you guys 100% ready to get rejected just to get those 10 deals 100 times? Right? Maybe, maybe not. So for a driver, they're like, listen, it's a numbers game. It is what it is. I got to get it done. So if you're in the dominant driver personality style, take a look here. You want to create your own networking group around your favorite hobby. Guys, everybody in here is in a networking group. Did you realize that? Right? This is another way to connect with people. This is another way to lead gen. So if you are a driver, create a networking group based around the things that you like. Jerry, you're an investor. Create a networking group with other investors, right? That's an example, if that's something that you love and you're passionate about. Also participate in your local business chamber of commerce events, right? Because you wouldn't be a shy person if you're dominant. So networking, connecting with people, having great conversations, asking people for the business, that's your strong suit. Cold call withdrawn listing owners, okay? Mail withdrawn listing owners. That's a possibility as well too. Cold call expired listing owners and mail expired listing owners, and cold call for sale by owner listings, right? And obviously pay attention to the do not call registry. And also you can mail for sale by owner listings. Okay, so this is the highest level of rejection. However, it's the lowest hanging fruit when it comes to lead generating in your business. So that's the dominant personality style. If we look at the influencers, right? The influencers, you are the life of the party. You can enter a room knowing that no one and leave knowing no one and leave behind befriended everyone, right? So you go in, you don't know anybody. By the time you're done leaving the party, you know everybody. So use your strength of conversation at large events and in group settings to get to the closing table. So here's some ideas. Join and consistently participate, right? Commit to at least one per year in local meetups surrounding your favorite pastime activities. The second thing is you want to host festival booths, right? So how much is your home worth? For example, you can have a sign at your table. Or how much can you afford, right? And partner with your favorite vendors. So having those collaborations where you're around lots of people will make all the difference in your lead generating activities. And it's like anything else, guys. You always want to make sure you capture at least name, phone number, and email. Attend friend and family events and don't be a secret agent. Okay? So be out there. I always use what I used to do, and I still do this now to this day. I put 20 business cards in my pocket, and I make sure that by the end of the day, I've at least had 20 conversations, right? So that's something that you want to do. Come home with 0 business cards in your pocket because you handed out all the 20 cards that you left with in the morning. Get on camera and share branded short video tips on social media. One thing that I have, guys, in store for you, which is very special, we're going to make an announcement later on this week. But we have a person who is social media savvy in terms of branding, and they're partnered up with us here so that this way we can be able to elevate our brand as sales agents and be able to attract more business. So you'll be hearing that announcement later on this week. Also, vlog about your clients' real estate triumphs. Host a home selling, buying, or investing webinar or Google Hangout. Okay, so doing that on a frequent basis will help you to drum up business. One other tip that I can give you is continue to record trainings, just like we're doing here. One thing you can do is on Eventbrite, you can post your training on Eventbrite where it will automatically play and a person will register to check out the event. So an example of that would be, let's say you took a listing on a property. So now the property is 123 Summit Avenue, open house or virtual tour. You record the virtual tour, you upload it into Eventbrite, you give it a title, you put all the bullet points about the property, and you schedule different times that people can do the virtual tour. So what happens, in order for them to watch your virtual tour, they have to register. So they're going to give you their name, their phone number, and their email. You see, so there's different ways to lead generate and to be able to build your pipeline. So that's the influencer approach and style. And we'll look at the steady personality style, which is you like people, but can feel overwhelmed in group settings with strangers and large crowds. So instead, you thrive in one-on-one and among small groups of your trusted friends and peers. So here's a couple of ideas, okay? One of the ideas is do one-on-one lunches and coffees with new contacts and people in your existing network. Jerry, you and I, and also I know Lori was jumping on and off, and several people who are in this group, right? We know one gentleman that's in Fort Lauderdale. This guy has 225, 250 people in his database, but yet he manages to at least do close to 15 to 20 million in sales volumes per year with only 200 people in his database. And what does he do? He has 5 coffees per week. So every day he has coffee with somebody in his center of influence. That falls under this steady personality style, and it works perfect for him, right? Daily calls, 3 to 5 in your existing network, 1 to 2 visits a week to your existing network. Do those drop-bys. Go by and say hi to people. See how they're doing. Connect with them. Weekly connect with 5 to 10 existing contacts in social media, and strike up referral relationships with others in your office for trainings, conferences, and your local board of realtors, because they may need you during vacations, bereavement, illnesses, and the like. So one thing that I know most people may not think about doing, and this is an opportunity, this is something that I picked up on years ago. When sometimes there's agents that listen, they do the business and they don't like it and they just want to leave it, right? So with those agents, stay in touch with them. Connect with those guys. Send them a referral fee. You know, if you go ahead and you close one of their referrals, build up your database with their people, right? And then just give them a referral when it closes. There's tons of agents right now that if you go through your address book, you'll go through and you'll say, well, that's right, this person left the industry. Well, guess what? Many of those people, they did just like you and I. They started building up their center of influence. They got it up to a certain point, but then they decided this wasn't for them. Well, what are they going to do with all those people that thought they're in real estate or still think they're in real estate? They can still make money off of that. So find people that have left the business that you're friends with and ask them for referrals and give them a referral check once those deals close. So that's an opportunity as well too. And start teaching at your local board. So as we start coming to a close, again, in the chat, put hashtag VIP and we'll send you the Zoom link so that you can be able to jump on for the private VIP training, which is directly after this training, okay? Because I'm going to stop streaming on Facebook. But the last thing to cover here is we didn't even jump into the cautious. Let's get into the conscientious, the cautious personality style. So you take pride in your work and minute details like no other. So here are some ideas for you. Host a series of home selling, investing, and buying seminars with your preferred vendors. Then you want to create an offer on social media in exchange for contact information, home selling, buying, and investing how-to guides. Also, organize a series of local meetups surrounding your favorite pastime activities. Develop a warm and fuzzy, personable email campaign for those you meet and introduce them to you, sharing pertinent details about your local market, giving them tips based on their interests in real estate, and so on and so forth. So you like giving people information, basically, right? Because information is what turns you on. Pie charts, graphs, those are the things that turn on an analytical, conscientious person. So use it to your advantage. And if you still have no idea what personality style you are, here's something that works for everybody. No matter what your personality style is, mail a monthly newsletter. Okay, for those that don't check the mail, use local content instead of generic data and tips so you can become the local real estate news source. Schedule a monthly e-newsletter. So use the local content, obviously, instead of generic tips. Same thing as above. Wear real estate paraphernalia everywhere. So I remember there was this person that was in an office that I belonged to a while back, and they had this T-shirt, and obviously it worked well for this guy, right? So he was muscular. So if you're not muscular, I don't know if this would work for you, but I'm sure you could find a T-shirt that will work for you. And what he had on his shirt was, "Real estate is my superpower," right? And this dude would go to the grocery stores. He would travel everywhere, and that's all he wore. That was his uniform. It was like Men in Black. They only have one uniform. But the number of people that he's always told me that he's gotten referrals from was enormous, just because they would say, "Wow, that's pretty cool," and then he would strike up the conversation. Now, one big tip that I learned is, if you have some really nice clothes already as it is, or if you have a polo shirt like this, just get it embroidered with your company logo on the side, and that's it. So there's embroidery companies that will embroider some of your shirts. If you have dress shirts already, just get it embroidered, and it'll save you some time, save you some money, and in addition to that, you're still wearing a shirt that you can, fit into comfortably, as opposed to trying to get a new shirt and then washing it and watching it shrink. Also, attend every event your friends and family, neighbors, and everyone else that you have. Attend those events. Get out there. If you get invited and it doesn't conflict with your morals, go and win friends. So at the end of the day, guys, here's the deal. Everything is about a funnel. A funnel, if you look at a funnel, it's shaped like this, right? You got to put lots of people into the top of the funnel, and as time goes on, those people start dripping down towards the bottom, which are the people that are interested in buying or selling real estate. So that is our job. Our job is to build our funnel, is to build our pipeline, is to get to know as many people as possible. And the more people you know, the more chances and opportunities that you will have to be able to do business. So any questions, guys? I know I went over about 8 minutes because of the fact that I was going over the crazy technical problems here, but any questions in Facebook land, any questions here on Zoom that I can help answer for you guys?
Rob, I've been monitoring the Facebook Live and I don't see any comments.
Okay, so no comments on the Facebook Live. What about here on Zoom?
I do have one, because I tested D&I, when I did the D.I.S.C. Mm-hmm. But what you just showed now, I feel like I'm more INS. How do you fix that?
Well, you don't necessarily fix it. It just
I'm
is.
just
It
kidding,
just,
but
yeah,
how do you think? Because I know we're each of everything,
right.
but so that's what I was wondering. How do you relate to that? Because the disc I did, it says I'm DI, but the explanations you said I'm more IS.
Okay.
Just funny.
So,
Because I'm also D.
all right. Well, here's the thing. You may be a D when it comes to under stressful situations, or it could be the opposite. You're more of a D in a relaxed situation, but if you've been living a life of stress, then you're like, hey, listen, this is my defense mechanism. This is how I slow down. Let me just go out and have some fun and be an IS. So it's you got to pay attention to under what circumstance, are you actually going through that particular challenge, right? And that's really what it boils down to.